Hey, y'all. Welcome to Simple Conversations. This is KJ.
Hey, and it's Alice. So pause us for a minute, grab you something to drink, come back, sit down, and be a part of this conversation.
Because we have a lot to say. Welcome to Simple Conversations.
Hey, welcome back to Simple Conversations. So this week, you get to listen to another interview that we're doing for our Amazing and Courageous Women series. Super excited about my guest. I'm doing this one solo. So KJ is not with me this week. So you guys will miss her voice and her humor and her laughter for sure. And she'll be back with us next time. So today I want to introduce you to a friend of mine. This is a friend that we have spanned the country. So my friend Deanna is going to join us today, and we're going to talk about the life of a military spouse. So I know a lot of people in our audience can relate to some of the things that we'll talk about and some of the challenges that you face as a military spouse, which might be different, and then some similarities between just not just being a regular spouse. I guess I can't say that, but just normal community stuff. Yeah. Okay, so my friend and I, we go back all the way to 2003 when we met, when we both were part of an organization that we hold very near and dear to our heart, and it is called Links, and I'm sure that will come into play in this conversation. So here we go. Please welcome you guys, my friend Deanna. So welcome to Simple Conversations.
Hello.
I'm so glad to have you.
Thanks for having me.
So this is really fun because Deanna is in California and you guys know that I'm in Virginia, but we actually happen to be together doing this podcast this weekend. I came to California for a visit and I'm super excited that we get to do this interview in person, and we're still doing Zoom, but sitting beside each other, which is fabulous. So, okay, so I want to start off by let's just get to know you a little bit. So first, just tell me about you. Tell me about you, your family, yeah.
Well, hello, everyone. She said my name is Deanna, and I am a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
I do lots of this and that's and this and that's and a lot of spontaneity. Pretty much whatever interests me, I take off on a tangent. I have many hats, but my favorite pride and joy. I mean, I love my life and all that the good Lord has given to me. But I'm married to my Marine, and we just celebrated last week 27 years.
That's absolutely fabulous.
It's crazy. I'm like, oh, it's just 27 years. That's kind of like more than a quarter of a decade. And so
it's more than half your life.
It is more than half my life. Yeah. I remember that year when I turned, I think it was 36. And I told him at my birthday party, I said, I've been with you for half my life now. And that was a big deal. Yeah. I mean, it's not always been easy. Right. Anybody who's been married for any amount of time knows It's not always easy, but if it's worth it, and I tell people that all the time, if a relationship is worth it to you, you better fight for it. You better invest in it, and you best, make the most of it. And so, yes, we have two boys. And they are adults now, Jack and Ryan, 21 and 20. And parenting adult children is a whole new ballgame.
Yes, it is.
That would be another fun podcast. Right? We can't even start talking about that now. It's wow. Like whoever thought that 18, I never thought I'd be away from, kick them out and dismiss from them at 18. But no, parenting does not end at 18. So those of you with littles,
right? Yeah, that's true.
Love every moment. That's the thing. Love every moment. Yeah. It is worth it. So yes. He has been in the military. He was in the military before I met him, actually, a year before I met him. Mm-hmm. And so he's been in a long time. He was a reservist. So that was kind of like easing in to the military, just that 1 week in a month. And he did deploy immediately, like 2 months after we met. So that was kind of a crash course in military and what this life, like. Right. And I said to someone just a while back, I said, you know what, here's the deal. We've done this separation thing. Even when he was a reservist, not just the 2 weeks in the summer, but he had a summer job where he did road crew. So no matter where I was, he was gone.
Right.
So for the first 3 summers of our relationship, he was gone for 3 months at a time. And so we just did it, it's what we had to do. of the mindset that you do what you have to do to pay the bills.
Yeah.
So you get a really good summer job and it helps put you through college or whatever needs to happen the other 9 months of the year. So yeah, we're used to that. So going active duty, then that was kind of okay. Oh, you're not going to go away?
Right.
Do you need to go away anytime soon? Like you've been around a lot.
Yeah.
Take a vacation. We can go somewhere. So we have really enjoyed the military.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed the military and the people. Oh my gosh. If you're one of my people that I have met, know that you got somewhere in my heart. Everybody I've taken. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree
love
with
the
that.
people. Mm-hmm.
I think one of the perks is that we have friends all over the country and, probably in other parts of the world, which has been awesome. And thanks to social media that we actually get to, stay in touch and see their lives and still get to share, even though we go to different places. And I have loved that. For sure. Yeah.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us, how many places have you moved with the military?
So because of the military,
she's counting, you guys. She made a list.
So there's 10 duty stations. Sometimes it was move to town and then move on base or whatever. So we moved more than 10 times, but 10 duty stations in the 25 years.
Wow. So differently than Tim and I, because Tim saw the world, and you guys know I saw Virginia. It was very exciting. We tried to go to Japan when they sent him to Okinawa, and we were not able to do that. So we just stayed at Lejeune until we went to Virginia. So, yeah.
And I'm grateful for that, because had you not been there, my world would be absolutely, I mean, I have to tell you, audience, that Alice, and if you know me, I'll call her my Alice. And when Alice says, I really think that this would benefit you, I just go. I don't even ask questions because I love it. I know she is of the personality. She's done the research. She's looked at all the options and made the best judgment. So if she says it's a go, I unwaveringly trust her, which is a lot of pressure maybe, but I know it's good.
That's awesome.
It's great. But it didn't start out like that. It didn't start out like that.
So we'll give you a short, we'll try to shorten the version of how we met. So we were both a part of a program called LINKS, which is an acronym that stands for Lifestyles, Insights, Networking, Knowledge, and Skills.
It's a Marine Corps spouses program of mentors sharing knowledge. And
so what we did is we just taught other spouses kind of what it was like to be a part of a military community, which is very different because it's a lifestyle. It's there's a lot of different things from the uniform that your spouse wears to how your medical coverage works to what your benefits are and what your benefits are not, and
deployment,
understanding their job and
moving, literally every aspect of the military life. It's a great program. Oh my gosh, don't get us started.
What the chain of command or communication is, depending on what side of the uniform you are. Anyway, it was seriously one of the best experiences of both of our lives, we would tell you. And when we met, we were both asked to step up into leadership roles in that program, and we didn't know each other. We had only seen each other at a few monthly meetings. We didn't really even know each other. And so we went together and ran the team, and
and it was just a year, but at the same time, it was our kids were the same ages. And when you find somebody that you get along with and your kids play nicely, you can enjoy time outside of the LINKS training. And we would do scrapbooking. And I think I was telling her just the other day, that was the very first book club, if you will, and Bible study, both in one, the Purpose-Driven Life.
Yeah.
And I think
I had forgotten that I even did that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
oh, yeah. I think I still have my book because unlike you, I'm a pack rat. Yeah. I keep things because you never know when you're going to need them.
I probably have the book. That would have been in 2004?
Yeah.
Maybe 2004,
2005. Spring of 4. Yeah, we moved in 5.
So, okay. So 2004 or early 2005, maybe early. So I've been doing book clubs ever since. Yeah. I continue to do them. Yeah. I love that. I love bringing women together and learning new things. But I had forgotten about that. So we had an amazing team. We were able to do one of the very first traveling LINKS teams.
Well, and I will say, once we brought back, there were other travel teams that Marine Forces Reserve had long ago, but once now that we were 2003, 4, and the op tempo, the deployment tempo was all over. I mean, active duty Marine Corps and reserve
Right.
Units were being activated. And so a unit in Kansas City, we had a couple of our mentors that had moved there, and they said, hey, you come do a class.
Oh, I forgot they were there.
Yeah.
That's
Leah,
right.
Leah Proudie was there.
And somebody else.
Yep.
Was it Denise?
Nope.
Oh my goodness.
Yep, I can see her face, but I cannot pull her name. It'll come back. It'll come back in
Okay.
the middle of the
Yeah.
night, I'm sure. Anyway, so we went to Kansas City.
We
and
did.
said, oh my gosh, this is so easy. We should promote this. We should have a traveling team. My gosh.
Yeah.
And then fast forward 2007, and we got assigned back on I instructor duty.
Which is for those of you, that's the reserve world.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's active duty supporting reserve companies around the country. And so we were at our hometown in Boise, Idaho. I just, the questions, the tempo, everything was deployment. And these spouses, I remember going to Connie Bryant, the Marine Corps Family Team Building Director at the time for the reserves, saying, how do you not have a links team? You need to send me something. And she said, well, then, put your money where your mouth is, like, do it on money. But then lead it, then come. And it was all volunteer force. All of it was volunteer. So did some training out of New Orleans, and of course, the first person I went to was Alice. And she said, I don't know anything about the reserves. I'm like, I can teach you that. You know links. Like, I trust you implicitly to help me brief these service members. And that's where it is. I mean, by then we'd had a great foundation of a friendship, but I needed somebody that I could trust implicitly with the knowledge and to give a good training. And we clicked so well. And so that was fun, because we would do weekends.
Yeah. We
created a team, and hey, meet me in Philadelphia. Hey, can you meet me over here? And Debbie and I first one went to Rochester, New York. And my husband would just say, like, this, right? Like, you guys fly in Friday, teach Saturday. I get that you're teaching all day Saturday, but I know you go and do dinner and you do, whatever you're doing. And then we just fly home Sunday. And it was the best girl time. But
really
we were building a program. We knew what we were doing was great. But we got to still stay connected through that.
I wish I had kept track of all the places that we have been.
Oh, I have them. It was like 109 in 2 years.
Like, I wish I had kept like the room keys of the hotels.
Oh gosh, no.
Or
Too much.
like a map with all the locations or something.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I have
friends
friends
here.
Well, funny story. A couple summers ago, we went to Newburgh, New York, because a friend of mine, her father passed, and he lived right outside Newburgh. And we went up and we were eating dinner, and I was like, oh, I've been to West Point before because we taught a class there, and we're eating dinner, and I'm like, I've been here before. I've actually sat on this patio and I've had dinner here before, and I couldn't remember it to save my life, and I had to go back and say, Brendo, when did we do this? Yes. Yeah. But So sometimes people will mention a place and I'm like, oh, I think I've been there.
Because there's it's 180 some reserve sites that we supported with events.
And we did it for years.
Oh, yes.
It was wonderful.
Yeah. 8 to 11. I did it from 2008 to 2011. I mean, you took it on a couple of years after that.
I think I stayed until 14, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe 14. Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of how we became friends, and then we just stayed friends, and we have been great friends, and we have actually been friends for 18 years.
I know we're already talking about a 20-year reunion, and I said we should just drive around and see everybody that we were co-friends with. So if you're out there, give us a shout and let us know where you are, and we'll stop by on our. I don't know if I have to fly from California to Virginia and we start there, or we meet in the middle,
I don't know
what that looks like. But there's some fabulous people that we've been friends with that we would love to drop in and see.
So make sure you put that in the comments.
Hey, Miss
so we
Jennifer,
can,
Debbie, come on now. Come on.
Beth and
Gia.
And Heather
Brenda.
and Stacy and all of them.
Stacy,
Yeah.
Oh, Heather,
wow, so many.
Yes.
So many.
Yes.
Okay. What else do we want to know about military life? So you move around a lot. So we know there's challenges of being separated, not just from your spouse. You're separated from your family, doing all this transitioning.
I think one of the most important things that I learned, it was like I remember when our first duty station, like I said, he'd been in the Marine Corps Reserves for 8 years. So I was used to, and I thought I knew so much, and I was so naive. But my mom drove to Kentucky with me. Ron was finishing up tank school, and we were going on to North Carolina. And it dawned on me, I was probably 26 years old. And I brought my mom to the airport, and I said, don't leave me. Like, he was doing all these things, and I had the comfort of my community. I had the comfort of my hometown where I had grown up, and it was all good, and it sounded good to get out of this podunk little Boise, Idaho. But oh my gosh, you're going to leave me and I will know nobody. And my husband, he was at the airport. He drove. And I'm just standing there telling my mom, please don't get on the plane. Please don't get on the plane. Don't leave me here. And he's like, what am I, chopped liver? Like, are you kidding me? Come on, we're starting our next chapter. And I'm like, yeah, no, I just can't have my mom leave me. And we laugh about that, but she's like, you're a grown adult woman and way into adulthood. And here you are acting like you're, dang 18, 19, 15 years old. So, and I was really scared, and I will tease that the Army wives were mean to me, but I was kind of a snot to them. Well, I said I wouldn't volunteer because I get paid to work. Like, I don't give my employment away for free. Fast forward. Yeah. Right. She's laughing because fast forward 10 years and I was with the unit. I was volunteering with the spouses program, 40 hours a week. I was plugged in with links. That had to be at least 30, if not 40 hours a week. And my husband was picking up childcare. Like, when you have your passion,
that's right,
you'll do it for free. Yeah. If you get paid, that's even better. Right. Like, now the things that I go and travel and speak about, if I can get paid for them, that is amazing. But yeah, finding your passion is so very important, and keeping your identity. I think that's a motherhood thing. Yeah. Maybe we'll talk about when we get to kids, but as we move from duty station to duty station, like Ron and I, this is of course, years before we had GPS and all of that, but we would just drive around and get lost. What better way to learn your new duty station than to drive in the outskirts of the other towns on a, Saturday morning and just get lost and find your way back. But that's how, before we had maps, that we would find things. And it really, he was my best friend. He was my only friend. So default best friend. He's the only one I knew until we made friends through, whether it be through the unit or through the neighborhood or anything like that. And now I scroll through and I see like the Friendly Wives pages or anything like that of our whatever duty station. And I love that people are out there saying, I'm new to town. Who wants to get together? Who wants to do a pizza night? Or
oh, that's fabulous.
And I like that. And I hope that it does truly for them come to fruition, that they do meet people that, and not everybody gets along. Right. That's a personality thing. Sure. And so I don't want anybody to feel defeated because they haven't met their tribe yet. Right. You know what? Don't ever stop just because the people or think that you're stuck with these are the people you have to be friends with because they were the first ones that reached out. And I think, not hurt feelings, not anything going, this is just not for me. Yeah. And, but boy, once you do find your tribe, it's great. It's fabulous. It's deployments go by so much faster, and you're plugged in and you're doing things together. Some people, my youngest son will tell you that relationships are hard. Like, he doesn't need a whole bunch of friends, right? Because that's hard. Yeah. and their work. And yes, again, I go back to if they're important to you,
he's also your introverted child.
Yes. You will put in the time, right? Because they're important to you. Right. And it's, not to be corny, but you need to, hey, I love you, man. Because they mean something to them. So I think getting plugged in is really important, and easier said than done. I mentioned this just the other night. After, I think I counted one time, I did 15 moves. So after our 15th move, I thought, oh my gosh, we're stationed right now at 29 Palms, California. And some don't like it, but it is my favorite duty station because it is a tiny, teeny, tiny little community. But guess what? You see people all the time because we all hang out in the same, 15-mile radius, and you see the same people. And then, it just feels like you are a part of it. So for those of you who are struggling where you are, get out of your house. Right. Go walk around the park with somebody, go to a bookstore, go to read, find something that you're comfortable with, and just be patient.
Yeah. We always told the Marines when Tim was still in, never judge the Corps by your first duty station or your first command.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You just, and give it a chance, give it some time. And someone who, like I said, when I first was introduced to Alice and, she's going to be your mentor manager, I didn't know much of her, but I do remember she was kind of brass. Like, really? She's kind of opinionated. No, okay. Well, if she can do her job, I need her to do her part so I can do my part. And we just left it at that.
Yeah.
But,
That's funny.
you're right. I was
Yeah.
thinking about that. I was like, I didn't know her, but I did know her. And I went, huh, okay. Okay.
I was strong.
She was very strong. Yes, she was. And then again, being the new girl,
Right.
I thought, oh my gosh, certainly I've outgrown this. I am, old enough to know better.
Yeah, I was kind of the new girl too, though. We just didn't realize that
No,
because
I'm saying
I was
now, in 2019.
Oh, I
and
thought
I'm
you were
making
talking
my
about the team.
no,
Okay.
now my dang 15th move, and the
Okay.
military's got me going somewhere back
Right.
to a duty station where I knew people. Like
And
I had
they're
my
gone.
Andrea, and well, no, she was still there, so I thought it would be an easy transition. We even moved back into the same house
Oh,
after
wow.
5 years of being gone.
Right.
Right. That very seldom happens in the Marine Corps, in any military situation. But I still went into an event as the new girl. I
Yes.
still walked up to a different command, a different building.
Right.
It was like this little moment of, and I thought, I know better. It still gave me the jitters. I'm still the new girl at this. These people don't know me,
Right.
or they've heard of me, and I hate for my, I think I have a pretty
because
good
then you don't
reputation,
know
but
they
I'm being,
right.
they like expectations are put out forth of
Yeah.
that. So it's, my youngest was like, I don't mind moving, Mom, because I get to reinvent myself.
Mhm.
Like, what a healthy attitude.
Right.
I get to reinvent myself. Nobody at the next place knows, if I, this, that, and the other, if I burned a bridge or whatever that is. And I have the chance to not be plugged into one group, or
Yeah.
to get involved somewhere else, or to go get a job where I was, before not. You just get a clean slate. And I do try to embrace that. But I fall into my own. I know I always I go to the Lynx house.
Right.
I meet the Lynx people because that's my team, that's my
Right.
tribe, and we all have the same mission statement. So
Mhm.
I do love that Lynx is pretty much at every Marine Corps duty station.
Right.
Yep.
I think sometimes for the spouses, it's a little more challenging to get connected than the Marine or the active duty person or the military person, because when they check in, they already have peers that
Assigned.
right, that are their work, co-worker, friends, whatever, and there's a good chance that either they went to school with them,
The longer they're in.
right, for their,
do you
for
remember
their
so-and-so?
military training,
No.
and we
Okay.
would call it an MOS school, and that they went to school with them, or
Bumped into them over the years, worked
Right,
with them on different
right.
projects. Yeah.
so that makes for them their transition a little bit easier.
And they have a job and a task.
Right.
You're checking into a unit, you're assigned to
Yeah.
a platoon or a squadron or anything like that, but you are placed.
Right.
There's no wonder of where do I fit in? No. You are assigned.
Right.
Right.
And I think even for, so we have spouses who are career spouses, on the other side of that, we have spouses who are, I'll say stay-at-home mom spouses, we have
Careers.
volunteer spouses, right? So I think the spouse side falls into lots of different categories. And so I think that for each one, they find their own challenges in making those transitions smooth, whether it's, rebuilding your career, starting over, or relocating, or possibly being able to, what's the word? Like be moved, like be transferred to another
Oh.
location, maybe keep
Oh,
your
yeah.
same job. Like, sometimes those
within
things
the
happen.
company. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Depending on what they do. But then we have duty stations where when you get there, there's nothing for you to do there.
Well, there's not
Yeah.
a predesignated purpose.
Right. And
right?
so
You're
then
not
you have
coming
to,
in.
figure
Yeah.
it out all over again. And so I think, sometimes we forget how challenging that it can be.
Well, and people get, I've talked, and I was actually really upset. It took me 6 months, one of the duty stations.
Mm-hmm.
And like I had kids in high school, it was their third high school. I had to start worrying about senior and like all these other things and transcripts and all of oh my gosh, like, okay, I had a lot of distractions.
Right.
And then of course I'm concerned that they make good friends, but they, again, they had class schedules. So they had designated assignments and something to do every morning. And I just had,
Right.
and I had friends and I just kind of had to, again, redefine myself, but I don't know what I wanted. I don't know what this was going to look like. It was going to be a 3-year tour and I just needed my kids to graduate and like be healthy and happy. But their emotional state really took a toll on me. I was very, very in tune with how is this affecting them?
Right.
And, you know, one's in sports and the other one's not. And it was just a lot.
Yeah.
But again, I did not plug myself in. We were a bit distanced from the unit. It was a joint base, so it wasn't
Right.
Marine Corps, which is my
Right.
love. And yeah, it was really interesting. Just to all of a sudden wake up 6 months later going, oh my gosh, what happened to me? What about me? What? I don't understand. And so, yeah, I really had to sit back and go, what do I want from me? You know, and as a mom, if you're a young mom, you know, from the military, you're someone's spouse and then you're someone's mom.
Right.
And it's like, do you want to know who Deanna is, or you just want me to be Ron's wife and Jack and Ryan's mom?
Right.
Is that what you're looking for?
Right.
You know, in one aspect, or, you know, volunteer. And yeah, chances are knowing your boundaries, that's probably the hardest thing. When you volunteer somewhere and they look at, oh, we need volunteers, what are you willing to do?
Right.
I was the snack shack coordinator for a high school in San Diego. And that was a lot, but I didn't know what I bit off. And I mean, I could do it, but yeah, I'm like, oh, okay. It was fun. It was a season.
Yeah.
Definitely a season. But yeah.
Okay. So tell me, so 27 years of marriage, lots of duty stations, lots of times of separation. Give me a couple things that you have learned of how you stay connected to Ron through all of that.
Well, I will say probably not how I stay connected, but the most important thing is setting the expectations. And what I learned, well, of course, I'm going to date myself, and this is going to be painful for some of you to hear. I don't want you to think I'm old or anything, but when he was in Desert Storm and we were newly engaged.
You have to Google that. Okay. Those of you that don't know what that is,
so I'll just
when
say
that happened, Google it.
Spring of 91.
Okay.
He would call in the middle of the night. Because that's when, and he would tell me that the lines for the phones are long, and you got to think about 91, not the technology we have.
Right.
And so I was afraid to leave the house because what if he called?
Right.
And he did one time. He's calling around to all these other places, and maybe I'm at my mom's house, maybe I'm at my best friend's parents' house. Like, he was just calling around just to find me. And so I really trapped myself, and CNN was just the first 24-hour news. And yeah, it was a lot. It was really, really, but he would call his mom and talk to her, and then she'd do a 3-way call and put the phone down and call me in the middle of the night. And so it was like, oh, okay, well, I need to be alert, but not. It was hard. It was really hard. But the letters that would come, like, I got maybe one phone call a month. I mean, it was so hard, far and few. Right. But the letters were amazing. And of course, I've kept those.
Yeah, me too.
Because we were newly engaged, and we had, like, you know, we were starting to plan for what our life would look like. And so there's some pretty fun things back in those letters. When there's another time when he deployed with 2nd Tank Battalion, and I got a phone call, and I remember this phone call vividly. And she said, my husband said, your husband told me to tell you to tell Deanna. Right. So third party, like, okay, can you tell your wife to tell my wife, I'm fine. All is well. I'll call after everyone else has called. And I think about that going, oh, okay. Like, okay. I love it that, you know, I needed to know he was safe, and he knew that we weren't going to have hour-long conversation. Again, not a whole lot of technology available, but that was good. And I was good with that. I really was. But the letters. Yeah. But the letters. And that was his true, honest, raw, I'm just going to put it out on paper. And so, yeah, that was again, a great communication. I found the hard way that I do not do well with, face chatting. Oh, there was at that time it was Skyping, right? And this was probably 2010. And he was over just on a short deployment, but gone nonetheless. And hey, we should do this. And I thought it was so great. And as soon as I saw his face, like, the boys are in middle school, let's say elementary, middle school, his face came on, and I just lost it. And so I'm in the kitchen. I literally grabbed an onion to start cutting up. And the boys are talking to him, and they're telling him about everything. They're like, he's like, where's your mom? They're like, oh, she's in the kitchen. I'm like, it's fine. I know you're busy. Just go. And I realized, what is wrong with me? Am I the worst wife ever? Seeing him just took that wound of the separation and poured salt on it.
Yeah.
It made it so hard for me. When we talk about communication being body language and
Right.
tone
Yeah.
and just that physical, right there. And then the words, like I can read your words all day long. I can't. And I didn't want him to see me as weak. I thought it was like, oh my gosh, I think my wife's going to fall apart and I'm going to have to go back early from deployment. Like that's an option.
Right.
Yeah, so I will say, know you're a service member, know what the preferences are. Cause he's like, I don't want to stand in line for 3 hours to get your voicemail.
Right.
But I did make him leave me voicemails before he left, because when I want to hear his voice, I have no control over talking to him. He can call me. He has control more so than I do to find him wherever around the world he is. Right. But boy, if I'm missing him, I'll just hit the voicemail button and I can hear his voice and then I'm good. So yeah, that's really the biggest thing. Like we use technology, depending, but we don't we always say when we have a communication plan, the bottom line is here's my orders, here's my command. If I'm not back on this date time, like call my command. Like really, truly, here's my timeline. It's never ever on date. So here's our dust abouts and with the unit, keeping communication with them.
Right.
If we lose comm and I don't sit and wait for phone calls. I don't expect him to spend hours because that's just not him.
No.
And I don't have that expectation.
Right. Nor can they do that and do their job.
Right. And I think sometimes I've talked with other spouses and someone will say, oh, well, my husband deploys and he has a phone near him. So they call all the time. I know a friend whose husband was on the FaceTime. She took the iPad and went to the grocery store and walked around with him in the grocery store.
Oh, wow.
That's a whole lot of time on their hands.
Wow.
That is not anything I have ever been afforded.
Right.
But, and that to some spouses, like, I can't believe, why don't I get that kind of time? Because obviously every service member, no, that's not true at all. Not true at all. So I think those expectations are huge. We set those and the boundaries and we know what we would like, of course. But the reality is we had soccer practice. We have life going on
life
here.
Happens here.
Right.
Sure.
And, and just, when coming back, that they're like, what do you want? Do you want a big party? Do you want nothing? One time he got back, it was like 2:00 in the morning. And my 2 and 3-year-old are following him around. I'm like, the next day shot. Like, this is crazy. This isn't what
I remember us talking about expectations coming home, what that looks like, because what I wanted for him and what he wanted were not the same thing. And so, being able to talk about that was huge. And we have years of letters as well that I cherish. Yeah.
And then, there's sometimes and I will say, and we talked about this earlier, deployment, the number of deployments, I don't even bother. That's like, how many diapers did you change?
Right.
Where your kid, why? No, it does nobody any good to count them because it harbors ill. It really does set for me. Yeah. Right. And to say, listen, you got orders, come and go. At one point they were like, we were at a duty station, like, hey, can you go in a week? He's like, I can go in 2 days. What is a different branch? They're like, so surprised. He's like, what? My wife's got it. Like, we know, I just have to go get her an updated power of attorney because we are moving in 6 months and she needs to get, we always have her part, his part and whatnot.
Right.
But we're ready. That's a part of being readiness, family readiness. Like, we got our stuff, but there's always something. I forgot to register his car one time and 9 months later.
Yeah, there's always stuff. Gosh, that's a whole nother podcast.
That was a whole nother.
All the things, right? All the things that happen when they're gone.
So we just go with it. I mean, like I said, it's not been 100% easy. No, 27 years, my gosh, no, but we make it work. And
so how many years do you think you have left? Like, what's that look like?
Married?
No. Married is until death do us part. Okay, one of us has to die.
Do you want me to set my date or what?
like active duty. What's that look like?
So he has been obviously a career Marine, and so he can stay. Like, service limitations probably looks like another 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's past his 20, obviously. So I don't know if it's freeing for him to think that he would, but I know that the military life is not for every couple.
Right.
And sadly, I've seen some marriages that don't survive.
Withstand it.
Yeah. And so for that, my heart breaks.
Right.
but for us, it does work. We
Yeah.
love that, and I don't care if you call me a Marine Corps cheerleader or whatever it is, just know that it's, for us, it has worked.
Right.
It's given us a good life. We, have made the most of some situations, and we weathered through other situations.
Sure.
So these next 5 years, we just did a 2-week vacation in Idaho at the family farm and with our kids. And it's harder to leave our kids because I know they're going through awesome young adults, like life things and what's happening. And I wish they would come home on Sundays for dinner.
Right.
I'm envious of my friend who says, oh yeah, they just come over for,
dinner and laundry.
Yeah, on Sunday. And I know they're obviously not coming down from Idaho to California, but they're both up there and around my other family. So that's nice that they're near them. But you know what, 5 years is going to fly by in such a heartbeat. And it's, different mentalities, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's ending in 5 years, but I'm so excited by how many things could happen in 5 years.
Oh,
how many people are going to come into my life that are going to, that I will learn from, that maybe I can work with them and share things with them as well. I'm excited for all the things that are going to be in my path. Like, there's so much going on, and I'm always, I'm ready for curveballs. I'd like to think I'm prepared, but I'm spontaneous as a get out. Like, hey, why don't we just do this weekend? And even just this, bringing you to the airport in the morning. Let's just go tonight. Well, there's things that I don't get hung up on. And but yeah, 5 years is going to fly by. And if you just think about, 5 years ago, we left the desert and went to San Diego, and then went to Pennsylvania, and then went to Tampa, and came back to 29 Palms, all in the span of 14. So maybe it was a little bit more than 5 years. But we left San Diego, Pennsylvania, Tampa. Like, that's 5 years.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh. Yeah. Yep. It's comical.
So yeah, you're right. 5 years is going to go by super fast.
It is. But one thing I'm quite assured of is that, some of the friendships that I've made along the way, thanks to technology and social media and such, I'll be able to, obviously still stay in touch, but, some of the friends that I've made are because of the military.
Right.
Friends become family. We call that family.
Right.
But they won't go away just because of that. The military, lifestyle has changed for us. And, we talk about it, and I will say, I heard it and I love it. I'll tell it time and time again. People come into your life, and you have friends for a reason, like a deployment. And that's okay if after the deployment, then that friendship maybe falters off and goes away. Your friends for a reason, a season. So that might be where you live, a duty station, or a mom, like, play groups, or middle school or high school sports or something like that. And then when that season is over, that's okay if those go away. But then there's your friends for a lifetime. Right. And those are ones you truly treasure. And I know that there are some people that if I truly had an emergency, all I would have to call them up and say is, I need you. And they would be on the next plane out.
Right.
And that is, I love my family. I come from a fairly big family. I know that my sisters and my brother are fabulous, and they would do anything for me. But I think it's something that I treasure, that I've also made friendships that would drop everything for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. We talk about, KJ and I have talked about container friendships, which is kind of what you're talking about. So we make friendships within those spaces that we occupy, whether it's a job, a neighborhood, a church, your kids' school communities, those types of things. And when you leave that container, or someone leaves the container, often the friendships don't survive that without a lot of work. So and then what is it they say? You have friends for lunch and friends for life, and you got to know the difference. Don't try to make those lunch friends your lifetime friends, because that doesn't work very well. But when we left the military, we maintained our friendships with the people that, the ones that mattered, whether it's an occasional post on Facebook, or a reminder picture pops up and you tag them in it again, or even if it's just a Christmas card. There are people that were very specific and meaningful in your life that you want to always have some type of contact with, to treasure that relationship.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I agree with that. And I do. I think that the time goes by faster than you realize. And then when it's over, you're like, oh, wow. Now we look back and Tim's been retired for 10 years. 10 years this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's gone by really fast. And at the same time, it seems like that lifetime was 100 years ago.
Right.
Yeah. Being on base with you this week and being around those young Marines in the uniform, like that's just a wonderful memory, like a great part of our life. And I will never regret the time that we spent in the military. We had a lot of challenges, but we had a lot of rewards and we have just a lot of great memories.
Yeah. Making most of the moments.
Yeah.
I think what is it? The poster? Nobody promised you a rose garden. They tell the Marines that. Yeah. Well,
that's right.
Was it part of your vows that it was going to be fabulous the whole time? Like there, you may not get the first duty station that you pick or that you want to go to, but at the same time, like how can you make this the best? Because 2 years is a long time to be miserable.
It sure is.
And you can do anything for 2 years. So really, it's fine. You just make the most of it. And it is so much mindset and amazing.
That is so true. My motto became, you can do anything for a little while, because everything is really just for a little while.
Right.
And then it's going to change whether you intended it to or not.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this podcast. It's been great talking with you here and being able to share our memories and just some of this perspective with our listeners. So thank you again for being here and making time for us.
Absolutely. It's been my pleasure.
Okay, listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. So I don't know if you were driving while you were listening or folding laundry or what it was, but if this was significant to you, make sure you share it with the other people in your life that you know that it will be significant for. So again, as always, thank you for listening. KJ will be back with us next time. Have a great day, and thanks again.
Bye.
Hey, you guys, we just want to say thank you today. We want to thank our listeners and those of you that have subscribed to the Simple Conversations podcast. Friends, thanks.
Hey y'all, this is KJ from Simple Conversations where grace meets strength. Thank y'all so much for listening and tuning in. If it weren't for y'all, there would be no reason for us to do this. Listen, we need your help. We need your support. So head on over to patreon.com/Simple Conversations and decide exactly how you want to be involved. For $5 a month, you would get access to behind the scenes content. For $25 a month, you would get that as well as a shout out on the podcast or fan input. As a supporter for $50 a month, you would get all that in the previous 2 tiers, as well as a one-time gift or book that Alice and I have read or are reading that we think would add value to your life. Or for $100 a month, we consider you family. You ever heard that before? That's friends that are so good that we consider you family. So you would get everything in the previous 3 tiers, as well as exclusive branded merchandise from Simple Conversations. So listen, our heart's desire is to do more and to be more. And so in order for us to do that, we need help. And so we're dependent on you to help us make that happen. So thanks for tuning in and thanks for your support. See y'all.